Appreciate the gentlemen' work this evening and their skills in leading us all in song. I read an interesting story in a book called Reflections on the Cross. Nearly 600 years ago, in July of 1429, a small town called Domremy, they experienced an amazing event. This small town of about 200 people, it had about 200 people, and today it has about in northeastern France. And it hasn't changed much even since that time, and you can still find the old state books hundreds of years ago that are still present. And in those books, which are recorded every town and village and the taxes that are due from each, the page from the year 1429 with the heading Domremy has, instead of the usual figures, these words written in red ink: free for the maid's sake. The small town was the birthplace of Joan of Arc, the maid. And in gratitude for her service, the newly crowned King Charles VII offered her and asked her to name her reward, absolutely anything that she wanted, that you had the power to give. And she asked in response to that the people of her village be exempted from paying taxes. They were free for the maid's sake. And that exemption was to last forever, according to King Charles VII, but the French Revolution put an end to that, and the exemption actually ended years later. But this story reminds me of another book mentioned in Revelation, the 20th chapter, in verse 12. And I saw the dead, great and small, standing before the throne, and books were opened. Then another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged by what was written in the books according to what they had done. And I imagine my name written in that book, and the debt that I owe my king also written. The debt I find there is too great, and there is no way that I myself can pay it. But something else is written on that page. Written across that page, not in red ink, but in blood, are the words, free for the son's sake. Ephesians, the 4th chapter, in verse 32, Paul wrote, "And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, hath forgiven you." Why would God use those words? Essentially, this tells us that forgiveness is not granted on behalf of the one who receives it. Don't miss the connection between the even as part of the verse and the for Christ's sake part. We don't forgive others' wrongdoing against us because they deserve it, any more than God forgave us because we deserve it. The reality is that Christ earned it for us by his service, in that he died blameless for each of us, for all of our sins. We read and sang tonight about God's grace and mercy. These concepts are closely related, and oftentimes they're juxtaposed in the scriptures like they were tonight, and I'm sure you noticed that. But they're different facets of the same diamond, each reflecting a unique aspect of God's divine nature and character. God, because of his great love for us, even though we were dead in our sins, he showed mercy for us and provided a way out we didn't deserve and cannot earn. His amazing grace demonstrated that providing his only Son to die in our place, once for all time, for all men, allowing us to be in his presence in the coming ages, though our own sins are what put his only Son on the cross. Truly, his grace and mercy were poured out on us richly through Jesus Christ our Savior. God, for Christ's sake, hath forgiven you. If you're ready to accept God's gift tonight through belief, repentance, and confession, you can be baptized tonight. His great grace and mercy waits for you. Please come as we stand.